Hi, I'm Eric Corley, and I'm 41 years old, and I am the comic guru here at Alter Ego Comics. I have a unhealthy obsession with comics and toys, or at least that addiction. At least that's what my wife says. I was born here in Baytown and grew up in Highlands. I'm married and have two sons. I actually just celebrated my 14th wedding anniversary a couple of days ago. While I was in high school, my second job was actually at Williams Coin Shop. I worked with Jay, who was the owner of All Star Comics. I worked with him there. I did the comic books for them. After that, after working there for a couple of years, I worked a few retail jobs at Spencer's and Suncoast and a new and used video game store called Game Bros. In the 2000s, I worked in a couple of banks. I started off as a part-time teller. When I left the bank, I was a loan officer. After that, I decided to go back to school and got my bachelor's degree in history with social studies 7 through 12. While I'm not working here at the comic shop, I substitute teach. So I really enjoy that. Here at Alter Ego, I am it's what they call me, the comic guru. I do all the comic appraisals, the comic ordering, answer any comic questions that the guys can't answer. Sometimes they'll get these obscure questions and they'll have to call me and ask me, but hey, I'm happy to do it. I love comics. I got started at Alter Ego. Well, actually it started because, like I said, I knew the previous owner, Jay, who owned Alter Ego or All Star Comics. I've known him for about 30 years, and he's had different shops throughout the years, but in 2011, he reopened All Star Comics in the mall, and I started getting my comics through him again. And anyway, I would help out at the shop and everything. That's how I got to know Sterling. And then around 2016, I became an official employee at All Star Comics and worked with Sterling. When Sterling bought the shop, in 2018, Sterling brought me with him, and I've been working with Sterling ever since and doing the comics. When I was little, I used to watch the Adam West television series with Batman, the George Reeves Superman television series, The Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, and the Super Friends. I used to watch all that stuff when I was little. And when my dad realized I really liked that stuff, he took me to the convenience store. And that's when I saw this giant selection of comic books. And it started off where he took me once a week. I would either get the new issue of Batman or the new issue of Detective or the new issue of the Hulk. If I already had those, I would change it up. I'd get the newest issue of Captain America or the Amazing Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman, All-Star Squadron, just whatever. It really was based on cover. Whatever sold me on the cover, that's what I would pick up. One of my favorite stories of getting into comics or when I realized there was comic shops, because back then I only knew of like the convenience stores. The local grocery store didn't sell comics yet, but Walden Books in the mall sold comics. But it was around 1986. Every time you'd pick up a DC comic, you'd see this advertisement for this book called Batman The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. So every week I'd go to the convenience store, I'd go to Walden Books, and I never could find this Batman book. Finally, I told my grandmother and grandfather, and they went through the phone book and they found this comic book shop called Happy Trails, which was in Channelview North Shore. They took me over there, but unfortunately it was kind of late. Batman The Dark Knight Returns was already out, but they ended up having like number 2. It was like a second printing and I think a first print of number 4. But anyway, they bought them and I got them and I read them and I was like, oh man, these are so awesome. It was my first really introduction to Frank Miller, or at least I thought it was. I ended up going back home and I found some Daredevils that Frank Miller did, so I was aware of Frank Miller then. But anyway, I was happy to read it, but I knew how it kind of played out, but I didn't know the ending. About a few months later, I got the trade paperback and read the entire story, and I was blown away being a little kid. Eventually, I did get the first prints, but over the past 35 years it's been out, I'll usually read it about once a decade, and or once every 10 years. And every time I just, it's a new experience. You always find something different, or something has a different meaning to it. And I love comic book stories that are that way. There's quite a few of them I've read. The Watchmen's been that way. There's so many of them. But yeah, I love comic stories that are like that. So. My first comic book I ever got that I remember my dad buying was Detective Comics 513. I remember the cover because it's Batman's coming into this room, and part of his face is Batman and the other part of his face is Two-Face, and Robin's looking down at him and he's like, oh my God, what did Two-Face do to you? And just, I don't know, just that cover always stuck out with me, and I still have that issue to this day. So. My favorite comic era has to be the Bronze era. That was the era of comic books from when I was a kid, what I grew up in. That's just, it brings back a lot of memories, buying a lot of those books, especially when I see a cover, especially if somebody brings in a collection of stuff from the late 70s, early 80s, and I just see it and it's like, oh man, I remember when I bought this book, and so forth. That's one of my main focuses on collection. Well, I do collect silver and copper and modern, and I have a complete run of Batman and Detective up to a certain point back in the silver. But the bronze, I always try to look for variants, whether it be Whitman variants or Mark Jeweler variants or even priced variants, like some of the Canadian variants and stuff. Man, it just, like I said, every time I see a cover of something I bought as a kid, I just remember it. It's like, oh wow, I remember getting this. And I don't know, I just love that feeling. Besides comic books, I collect toys, mostly action figures, pretty much anything Batman or DC related. I've been collecting that stuff for about 30 years. I still have all my superpowers from when I was a kid. I have a few Migos. Also collect Japanese stuff, Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, Spectre-Man, any kind of figures or memorabilia that I can afford, because some of that stuff is super pricey and expensive. Also collect horror movie stuff, mostly Halloween and Friday the 13th, action figures and posters and things like that. But yeah, that's what I collect. One thing that people should know about me is I am a bowling champion. I know, it's crazy. I've been bowling off and on since I was about 6. When I was little, I was part of a junior bowling league. I have several trophies for bowling. It's been a few years since I've been bowling, but usually, I can pick up the ball and it all comes back to me. It's like, riding a bike. But yeah, I enjoy bowling. I wish I was able to do it more, but unfortunately, wife, kids, time, job, everything, it doesn't really give me, time to do it. So, but yeah. My favorite thing about working at Alter Ego is, of course, the comic readers and subscribers that come into the store, having these crazy conversations with them. Some of them have gotten pretty heated, not on my part, but on their part. Some girls and guys are pretty passionate about their characters, and it's all in fun, but it's awesome to have those conversations. Also, the employees, there's some of the coolest employees that I've ever worked with anywhere. I wish they read more comics, but their thing is gaming, and that's why I'm here. So, yeah. I'm not only a comic nerd, but I'm also a science fiction and horror nerd. I love pretty much anything horror and sci-fi. My dad was the one who introduced me to science fiction. Introduced me to characters like Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, Star Trek, the original Star Trek. yeah, and I kind of fell in love with those characters and shows. The original Star Wars, of course, pre-Disney. Dad also introduced me to Westerns. I actually love the Lone Ranger shows like Rawhide, Bonanza, and Gunsmoke. My dad really introduced me to a lot of things that have carried over that I've tried to introduce to my kids. I lost my dad 20 years ago, and I miss him every day. But like I said, I mean, he really did. He introduced me to a lot of great things, and fortunately, I've been able to introduce my kids to those things as well. A personality trait, I guess it'd be kind of assertiveness. I like to I speak up whenever I don't agree with things or things aren't happening the way that it's supposed to. Example with Sterling, it's Sterling's like my little brother, and if I feel somebody's taking advantage of him, I will speak up and I will have my say. And I want the store to be successful. I want Sterling to be successful. If there's anything I can do to help him, make that happen, I'll do it. And but I don't want anybody taking advantage of him or whatever. So yeah. Okay, thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Facebook, YouTube. We also have a TCG account. If you're looking for any cards, singles from Magic, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Vanguard, we have them on there. Also, come into the shop if you're a new comic reader looking for a shop to subscribe to get your weekly fix of comics. Man, we've got them. We also have thousands of back issues, toys, gaming stuff, D&D, just about anything you're looking for. It's here, or hopefully. We can also do special orders if you're looking for something in specific. If it's available, we can try to get it for you. So yeah, please come on into the store. I can't wait to see you. Thanks.